Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by the Ham Station. Get your new radio or antenna by calling 800-729-4373 or go to hamstation.com.
It's Ham Radio with Neil Rapp. Here we go. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Call in, let's talk. Neil's your guy. Ham Talk Live. Here we go on Ham Talk Radio.
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Ham Talk Live, episode number 15. 2013 Young Ham of the Year, Pádraig Lysandrou, KC9UUS, recorded live on Thursday, May 26, 2016. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight on the show, the 2013 Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year, Pádraig Lysandrou, KC9UUS, stops by to talk about life since the award, including his internship at SpaceX, preparing a satellite at Cornell, and his studies, and we'll take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week on the show, we had a great time on the road trip to Dayton. Several people stopped by the Spring Hill Suites meeting room to hear the show broadcast live, and we were able to convince several to come on the show. We also checked in with some friends at various locations in the area reporting on what was happening. We gave away some stuff and showed off the new Ham Talk Live shirts, and it was so much fun. It went over so well. We're already working on doing it bigger and better next year. And if you missed that show, you can download it at any time at hamtalklive.com. or on Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, TuneIn, or YouTube. Tonight, we want to take your calls, as we always do. So in just a few minutes, be ready to call in. You can call us on Skype at the username HamTalkLive or by telephone. The number is 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. You can also send a question via Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at Ham Talk Live. Ham Talk Live shirts are still available. That's going through May 31st for $20. Go to our Facebook page, Twitter feed, or the show schedule page on hamtalklive.com for a link to the online store to order. We had several people wearing them at Hamvention, and they're very comfy. So if you'd like one, go to the link at the online store and order. We'll make an order every few months, so check there often if you do miss this first round of ordering. Today I'm home in Bloomington recovering from missing school for 2 days due to Hamvention and all the running around in Dayton. It was a very busy week. Contest University on Thursday was a great experience as always, as it was for some of my high school students that were able to go. And my assistant sponsor for the school club doing the show on Thursday night. This show was very fun, and thanks again to Ryan Cutshall, KD9DAB, and his father Rex for helping out with the setup and greeting people, and thanks to Nick Bauer, KC9GZY, for managing all the calls that came in and making things run smoothly. Then Friday was the Instructors Forum, where the younger sister of tonight's guest spoke about getting more women into ham radio. And then Ryan helped me set up. He was able to operate W8D for the first time as a general. He got his upgrade and got to use the ICOM 7851, a full legal limit amplifier, and a hex beam. Thanks to the support of so many manufacturers and dealers, ICOM, Yaesu, Kenwood, Array Solutions, Gigaparts, Radio Waves, and Heil Sound, just to name a few. Saturday was the Youth Forum, and I ended up on video recording duty this year for that. Maria was recognized there for her talk on Friday, and 11 young people shared their stories about ham radio. And then in the afternoon, I was able to get on W8D and use the Kenwood TS990 for an hour or so and try that out. First time I ever got a chance to play with one of those, so that was a lot of fun. And did a little bit of shopping and then stopped by the Voice of America Museum on the way home. They had a great turnout for that. So shout out to the Westchester Amateur Radio Club for putting that on. And then it was time to get home, throw everything in the house, and start working on final exams and finish grading. And I finally finished last night about 10:30. So after some rest, it'll be time to get ready for a transmitter hunt for the school. We'll be doing that next week. And then field day will be coming up and some repeater work coming up that's long overdue now that I have some time to do it. So that's what's coming up for me. Well, 3 years ago, Maria's brother Padraig was a speaker at the Youth Forum, and there he shared about his de-expedition to Cyprus. And after that presentation, he was featured in QST. He authored an article, won the Cover Plaque Award, won Amateur Radio Newsline, Young Ham of the Year Award, the ARRL Goldfarb Scholarship, and the ARRL Hiram Percy Maxim Award. He graduated from Bloomington High School South and went to Cornell University to study physics and engineering. And he got involved with a satellite build there, which did involve the Amateur Radio Club due to the telemetry that needed to be sent back. And he found himself interning during the summers with SpaceX. And so next, Padraig will join us to tell us all about those things and more and take your calls right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics has been the ham's dime store since 1978, bringing connectors, antennas, cables, and other parts to the world. Scott and Jill travel the country bringing their store to you at HamFest, but you can also order online at pl-259.com or by calling 920-435-2973. Stock up on those supplies like PL259 and end connectors, audio cables, mobile antennas, and ham sticks. Their silver-plated end connectors are even in use on the International Space Station. Tower Electronics is a dealer for MFJ, Comet, Daiwa, OPEC, Workman, and Ham Pro Technologies. Tower Electronics online at pl-259.com, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
Oh, yeah. You're talking ham radio, baby. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. We'd like to thank Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight so we can bring you Ham Talk Live. If you call Scott or Jill in the next 30 minutes and place an order and mention Ham Talk Live, you'll get the same great deal as everybody else. Hey, you can visit them at the Princeton, Illinois Ham Fest on June 5th. They're also coming soon to Newberry, Michigan, Monroe, Michigan, and Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Or just call them, 920-435-2973, or visit pl-259.com. Be sure to listen every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on hamtalklive.com. And if you miss the show, you can download the podcast from the website and most popular podcasting websites. Pádraig Lysandrou, KC9UUS, is a 19-year-old and just finished his sophomore year at Cornell University. He has an extra class amateur radio license and has been a ham for about 4.5 years. He's a former student of mine at Bloomington High School South, where he was president of the Amateur Radio Club and very active in the solar racing program there. Padraig's entire family became hams. His mother, Carolyn, KC9UUS, is the assistant sponsor of the Bloomington South Club and is an avid DXer. His father, Plato, is KC9VIL, and we'd like to wish Plato a happy birthday today, by the way. His older sister, Helena, is KC9VIM. She is attending Purdue University studying biology and is doing a summer program in medicine at the Ohio State University this summer. And younger sister Maria is KD9BUS, and she will be a senior next year at Bloomington High School South. Padraig is a past Hamvention Youth Forum speaker, leader of the Expedition to Cyprus, QST author, the winner of the ARRL Hiram Percy Maxim Award and the Goldfarb Scholarship, and the 2013 Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year. Padraig's main interest has been making and inventing. He created his own electrical laboratory at home and started building. Now he's building even bigger and better things, like satellites and projects for SpaceX. He just made it home from Cornell yesterday and leaves for his summer internship there in a few days, so we were lucky enough to squeeze in an interview while he's home. So, Padraig, welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Thank you very much, Mr. App.
Yeah, so real quick before we get too deep into this, we want to wish Plato a happy birthday. He was with us this weekend, and so we want to do that. So go ahead and we'll get that in.
Okay.
So go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So happy birthday to Plato, beloved father. He's in the room next to me. I don't know if he can hear me, but we're going to have dinner tonight with him. So we're going to celebrate that. But yeah, so whole family's a ham family, including the dad. But yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So I'm home for.
We had to get that in. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, you're home for 3 days?
I'm home for 3 days. Unfortunately, I could not go to Dayton this year, or last year. Finals are pretty much right after Dayton, so just no way for me to go. That's unfortunate. I really miss it, especially the flea market. But so yeah, that was unfortunate. But
now I do understand that after we got done on Friday, your mom said, I have to go take care of Padraig's shopping list. So you sent your mom a shopping list for the flea market at Dayton.
yeah, I did. Well, I sent her a list of things to just look at. So one of the biggest things for me was Michael Osman of Great Scott Gadgets. I wanted her to go talk to him. He's got a really cool product, the Hack RF. Basically a small software-defined radio with some really mad specs. Very, very cool board, kind of expensive, but I'm looking for that as maybe a birthday or Christmas present. Definitely need to get into using GNU radio and SDRs. I also asked her to go see if they had any like photovoltaic cells, just for my own experimentation. I think a couple other parts. I can't really remember. But yeah, I always give her a list. It's very hard to find a specific thing at the Hamvention, but it's always it's worth the look. So
well, what they always say about Hamvention is if you can't find it at Dayton, it doesn't exist.
And that's probably true.
So, well, I'm glad she was able to take care of some of that in your absence. So. Tell us about the Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award and how that has impacted what you do and what that's meant to you.
Absolutely. So the Young Ham of the Year Award was given to me in 2013 in Huntsville, Alabama, at the Huntsville Ham Fest, which is also a great ham fest for flea market. Anyways, it's been it's a wonderful award. It really promotes technology in youth. I felt very supported by that award. I'm very grateful for it. And one of the greatest outcomes that from that is just networking in general. I met a lot of really, really nice and cool people. So Don Wilbanks, I met him out of that. I also met Scott Wright out of that. I met a ton of really great hams. Emmett Hohensee of Radio Waves. I met a ton of really great people, and there's just so many names I'm not listing that I can't think of at the moment. But that's definitely one of the greatest outcomes. And it's an amazing award that they really do support young amateurs and their journey into the technology world. So it's a great thing.
And the nominating period is open now until June 30th. So arnewsline.org is the web address, and click on the YHOTY tab, or as I like to call it, the YHOTY tab. Don and I had a show, we talked about the YHOTY thing, and we talked about TLAs too, which you're the one who introduced me to the TLA.
Oh,
TLA.
Really? Yeah, so the TLAs, the engineering world is full of TLAs and FLAs, which are 3-letter acronyms and 4-letter acronyms, and that's just an acronym for acronyms. And that was another friend of mine at Cornell actually told me that. But we love using that just as a joke. But yeah.
So YHOTY is a 5-letter acronym. It's even better. So anyway, that's there. So that's one of the reasons we have Padraig on tonight is to promote that award. So get your nominations in. Again, arnewsline.org, and click on the YHOTY tab. So tell us about what you've been doing with the Amateur Radio Club at Cornell and how you got involved with Violet, the satellite, and your part in building that.
Absolutely. So my involvement of those two programs were actually totally separate at the beginning. It was the W2CXM Amateur Radio Club of Cornell, one of the oldest clubs. I think it's 101 years old right now. It used to be, or it was for a very long time, a graduate student club. And the advisor for it asked me to sort of go through the process of making it an undergraduate club, because there's a lot of interest from undergraduate students. So that was one of my the big goals I had for freshman year, and so I did that. And now there's a number of undergraduate members, and then a separate thing that I joined was the Space Systems Design Studio, and I joined Project Violet, which is a nanosatellite, so approximately 0.5 meters cubed, so significantly larger than your normal CubeSat, and we couldn't use any CubeSat hardware, which is significantly cheaper than pretty much any other satellite hardware you could get. So all of the PCBs are in-house. So we do have a couple COTS components, but primarily COTS is a 4-letter acronym. It means commercial off the shelf. And so we have a couple components, like a gyroscope that we use, a magnetometer, and then the spectrometer, which is why it's actually called Violet. We wanted to look at the upper Earth atmosphere, basically viewing the sun through the top layer of our atmosphere. But the primary goal of Violet was to be a technology demonstration of these new sort of miniaturized actuators called control moment gyroscopes. So they're basically just the International Space Station uses these, as well as a couple other telescope satellites. But that's the primary goal, is to demonstrate those as well as the algorithms, the steering algorithms. So that's attitude control systems mission, pretty much. And so basically what we do is just slew the satellite in low Earth orbit and demonstrate these steering laws, their efficiencies, and then get the data down to ground. So that's the basis of Violet. And so I joined Violet as the lead of telemetry and command. So basically I had to deal with all RF communication, all the radio communication. And so I sort of joined those two clubs, W2CXM and Violet, in an effort to get a satellite ground station developed. So that happened. So now we have a wonderful azimuth elevation rotator system on the top of Barton Hall on Cornell campus. We also have all of the peripheral equipment that would be required. So we do all the satellite comm through a TS-2000. But I've been remaining kind of hands off on that part. I gave the ground station lead his responsibilities, let him do all that stuff. And so this semester I sort of moved on from my telemetry and command position. I've been doing a lot of power work and other electronics debugging. I'm really a huge electronics guy in general. So I wanted to sort of get some more experience with other stuff like a custom PCB fab debugging, and just in general the electronics that might go in a satellite. So this semester I worked a lot on the photovoltaic system, charging system, state of charge algorithm, inhibit system, which pretty much means when we want to turn on the satellite, use these latching relays, and a bunch of other power systems. That's been my main focus for the last 2 semesters. I've also been doing a ton of telemetry, so a lot of the RF stuff was sort of finished and good when I came in, but there were a lot of packet structure issues, so I worked on a lot of debugging with that. A lot of CRC problems, checksum, like whenever you send a packet, you need to basically do a checksum or just check that the packet is real and okay. So I did a lot of that debugging, but I've been kind of hopping around subsystems. So our team is made of like I think 11 different subsystems. So structures, CDH, which is command and data handling, attitude control, power, TNC, telemetry and command, and a couple other ones. And so most of my work has been on power, telemetry and command, and I've just recently gotten really into attitude control systems. And that's sort of my new obsession right now in terms of electronics is control systems. But yeah, I'm really in love with spacecraft. And so I found a great way to kind of connect those two, amateur radio and spacecraft. And so now I'm just sort of taken off, if you will, and sort of exploring the whole realm of technology in space, and it's really a beautiful thing. And I think that there's going to be a huge explosion of sort of space exploration in the next couple years. Everything's getting cheaper now, as you might see with launch vehicles, and especially the Falcon 9 being able to be returned. That pretty much lobs off $30 million straight off the launch cost, and that's a pretty astounding thing. So I think more youngsters that are into ham radio will have the chance to get into space, just since it's getting cheaper and cheaper. And a lot of schools are doing CubeSat programs now, and a lot of space competitions, they're hosting them. So if anybody's interested, they can email me and see. I don't know, just ask about opportunities. But yeah, certainly space has been kind of my biggest, or my highest obsession.
Yeah, now that leads us right into the next thing. So last summer you were able to land an internship with SpaceX, and I actually got to visit you for a short time down there at Cape Canaveral. So tell us a little bit about what you did down at Cape Canaveral, and then what you're getting ready to do here in a few days for this summer.
Certainly. So with all the work that I sort of did on Violet, I sort of grabbed attention of a recruiter and landed an interview. And so the first interview actually was in headquarters, and it was for a co-op, which means I had to take off a semester. And I ended up just turning that down because I was unable to do that early on in my education. So I did a second interview for Cape Canaveral, and that's one of their other sites, which of course they do most of their launches from. They have one launch site in Vandenberg, but primarily SLC-40, Space Launch Complex 40 in Cape Canaveral. And so I got hired as a launch intern among 17 other kids. And my more specific job was instrumentation and range intern. So I pretty much worked on a lot of the instrumentation, all the electronics underneath the bay. I actually worked on SLC-39A, which is Complex 39A, which is where all the Apollo missions launched from, and roughly half of the shuttle missions launched from. NASA just leased it to SpaceX for their new Falcon Heavy vehicle. The launch pad will also launch Falcon 9s, but it was primarily developed for Falcon Heavy. So I worked on a lot of the electronic systems down there. a couple different RF systems, but yeah, a lot of data acquisition, instrumentation, stuff like that. And I had a specific project I worked on, which was really, really fun. I won't talk too much about it. Might be a little boring for you, but it was really great working there. I had a lot of one-on-one time with my boss, who's a manager of kind of electrical engineering on the pad. Really great guy, and the people there are just really passionate and really knowledgeable. So that was an incredibly fun internship. I got to drive around the Air Force Base all day. I got to look at other launch pads. I got to watch rocket launches. And so it was a great experience. Very, very fun summer.
And picked up surfing. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people there go surfing. And so I just sort of hopped on. I rented a board for a while. Incredibly fun. But I was surfing on Cocoa Beach, which is sort of the best place if you want a shark bite. And so I had a couple experiences where I would see sharks just a couple feet away from me. One time I had a baby shark hit me in the leg, just swam right into me. But it was a really great experience, a lot of fun. Surfing, totally recommend. Great way to get out there. So.
All right. Now you're on the way to the other end of the continent. So tell us what's coming up this summer.
Absolutely. So I was in Cape Canaveral last summer, and this summer I interviewed and got a position in Hawthorne, California, which is in basically right outside Los Angeles. It's the headquarters of SpaceX, and so I will be working as an avionics intern on Dragon, and Dragon is the spacecraft that goes on top of the Falcon 9. It does all of the CRS, the cargo resupply missions, to the International Space Station. And in 2017 and 2018, that the Dragon capsule will be flying our astronauts, our very own astronauts. We don't have to use the Russians anymore for that. And so there's a great deal of patriotism there. And so I'm very excited to be working on that. I can't really give any more specifics, mostly because I don't really have any more specifics myself. But as far as I know right now, avionics and the Dragon vehicle. So I'm incredibly excited. I've never been to California before. Hopefully I'll get some more surfing in, maybe get a little sun. But should be a fun summer. Should be a very fun one.
Well, it sounds like a great opportunity for you, and couldn't be more proud that you're able to do that. Hey, it's time for us to take our final break, but we'll be back with more with Pádraig Lysandrou, KC9UUS, right after this message from the Ham Station. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by the Ham Station. For 35 years, the Ham Station has brought new and used radios, antennas, accessories, and equipment to the amateur radio community. Give Jeff or Dan a call at 1-800-729-4373 or order online at hamstation.com. Hamstation carries all the major brands like ICOM, Yaesu, and Kenwood. Shop from a wide selection of radio scanners, MFJ accessories, Heil Sound products, Mirage and Ameritron amplifiers, Cushcraft antennas, and more. Easy online shopping and fast shipping are waiting for you at hamstation.com. Or call 1-800-729-4373. The Ham Station, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
CQ, CQ, CQ. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
The Ham Station has you covered for both new and used equipment. Give Dan or Jeff a call at 800-729-4373 or go to hamstation.com. Be sure to listen to the show every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on hamtalklive.com. Also check out our Facebook page and Twitter feed. Just search for Ham Talk Live. Well, we finally reached the time for your calls, and I see here that we've had a couple of people trying to call. So now's the time. So give us a call on Skype at Ham Talk Live, or if Skype isn't your thing, call 812-NET-HAM1. That's 4261. And give us a call, and we'll take your questions here with Pádraig Lysandrou, KC9UUS. And I'm going to wait just a second here. I saw that there was a Dexter Moore, I believe, that was calling. So hopefully he'll give us a call back here. We couldn't do that in the middle of the show. Yep, there he is. So we'll connect with Dexter here. How are you? Are you there? Good. Thank you for giving us a call.
On the live feed is very low. Yes, I'm here. Your audio on the live feed was very low.
Okay.
Padraig was fine. Your audio was low. Over.
Well, okay. Looks okay on this end, so I will dig around and try to find what's going on with that. I don't see anything here, but we'll give it a try. Did you have a question for Padraig?
No, I didn't. Just letting you know. Over.
Oh, okay. Very good. Well, thanks for letting me know. I'll check into that and see what's going on with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to sign off now.
All right. Take care.
All right.
812-NET-HAM1, 812-NET-HAM1, or 812-638-4261, the number to call, or you can Skype us at Ham Talk Live, and we'll see if we get another call here. Let's see here. Oh, we have a message here from Troy. You remember Troy from Illinois? Good to hear you, he says. Troy Simpson over at Glenn Raymond School over in Illinois. Padraig, what would you tell aspiring young hams out there that are working on, still finishing up middle school, high school, maybe even elementary school? What would you say to those hams that are looking to study more beyond high school?
All right. So definitely, go and get your license. Try and go as high as possible. I think that sort of will bring you as much knowledge, especially if you're passionate about the hobby. I would also definitely study electronics on your own time, because ham radio is inherently tied to electronics. Everything is electrical. It's based purely on LCs, and I would just study electronics and even start building. A great book, a great series of books that got me into the hobby were the Forrest Mims Engineer Notebooks. They have tons of examples of like 555 circuits and op-amp circuits that really teach you the basics of electronics and using and analog circuitry. So I would get passionate about it. Maybe watch some YouTube videos of people in their homebrew projects. That's definitely something that motivated me, is like watching people kind of build something from nothing and then have it work and do a really cool thing. So building a transmitter is amazing. You just have like this pile of like carbon and silicon, and then you solder it together and you end up creating something that can talk to somebody halfway across the world. I mean, that's amazing. And you really don't feel that until you've sort of done it. Until you've built it. And once you've built it, it's kind of the most amazing feeling. I think there's a great Nikola Tesla quote that says there's nothing greater than the feeling there's nothing greater than the inventor who sees a creation of their mind come to be. I'm super paraphrasing, but I'll look that quote up too. The internet is a great resource. Pretty much everything you could possibly want to learn is on the internet. And so that's what I would say, is just kind of teach yourself. I mean, if you're passionate about something, there should be no barriers there for you, and you should try and break them down. And so that's what I did in high school. Is I sort of asked for a soldering iron for my birthday. I got that, and I started taking apart stuff, just even televisions, old cathode ray tube stuff. You got to be really careful because sometimes they have some capacitance that'll shock you. But take apart stuff safely, you know, and then use those, you know, parts in like the TV or the microwave or whatever it might be to build a project, and then just build one thing, and then you'll really realize how cool it is. But beyond that, I mean, you know, I guess try to educate yourself as much as possible. And it's great, you know, go to a school, you know, to learn, just at college or a couple-year program. Definitely teach you a ton. And I think understanding and being able to build and design electronics is an incredibly valuable tool. And we see that its value is skyrocketing as time goes on. So,
and you had an opportunity to go to several summer programs that had some pretty cool science to them.
Yeah. So there are a ton of summer programs that are totally free. So I'm going to give a shout out to the people at Michigan State University. There's a Physics of Atomic Nuclei, PAN program. Look it up. Totally free program. You basically will learn about atomic nuclei and the nucleosynthesis. So pretty much how a star will generate, you know, nuclei up to iron, and then once it explodes, there's enough sort of activation energy to create other nuclei. It's a great program that teaches kids a lot about physics. And in the process, you sort of learn a little bit about programming and other stuff, totally free, week at Michigan State University. Great programs like that will you know, push you into the STEM fields. And so there's a couple other stuff. I did a program at like Brown University on Nikola Tesla. I have a thing. He's one of my favorite scientists. But there's, you know, a plethora of programs that you can look into that are, you know, free and highly educational and just great things to do. So I would look into those.
And did you see the Tesla bumper stickers from Hamvention?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maria just gave me one. It's a yellow bumper sticker. I think it's ICOM from ICOM. It says,
yes.
It has his face, Nikola Tesla's face, and it says Tesla was right, you know, about, I assume, alternating current. Yeah, wonderful stickers.
812-NET-HAM1, 812-NET-HAM1, or Skype Ham Talk Live if you have a question about the Young Ham of the Year Award or any of these things that Padraig's talking about, or SpaceX and his internship there. Well, give us a call. We've got just time for maybe one call. So if you want to get that in, now's the time to do that. 812-NET-HAM1 or Skype Ham Talk Live. So tell us just quickly about your classes. How are classes going for you, and how's ham radio helped you out in those?
Certainly. So this semester I took a couple electrical engineering classes, one of them being Introduction to Circuits and the other being Introduction to Digital Logic. So Introduction to Circuits was sort of just, I don't want to be like mean or anything, but it was kind of a cakewalk. And so definitely learning all of the material that leads up to the extra class significantly helped. And if you know a little bit about math, you can understand Laplace transforms. And Laplace transforms are incredibly valuable when it comes into circuit analysis, and especially sinusoidal circuit steady state analysis. So that was a fun class. Ham radio has certainly helped me with that one. I really did not struggle with that at all. Digital logic, that's sort of more computer architecture stuff. I didn't get a whole lot of exposure to that from ham radio. Obviously, I knew all the gates. I knew how they all work. I understood like sort of the basic of flip-flops, a little bit of memory, stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know, like doing time analysis, CPI, like cycles per instruction, ALUs. I didn't really know anything about that, and in general, like the computer architecture of a processor. Didn't know too much, but ham radio still helped out with the sort of basics of that class. inverters and NAND gates, all that sort of stuff. And so next semester, I will be taking Signals ECE class. ECE is the program at Cornell. It's Electrical and Computer Engineering. And I'll be also taking an ECE design class, which pretty much you need to design a line following robot that utilizes an FPGA, which is a field programmable gate array, which is definitely something I would advise youngsters to get into. It's an incredible technology, as well as a microcontroller architecture. So, and one of my friends actually included sort of an RF chipset in that as well. So that'll be a fun class. I'll get to just really, do a lot of design work, be creative. I'll also be taking a couple mechanical and aerospace engineering classes. One of them being Introduction to Spaceflight Mechanics, which will be really cool. It's basically celestial mechanics, understanding orbits, home-in transfers, and different things like that. And then I'm also taking something that I'm really excited about called feedback control methods. And so that sort of dials into my interest in attitude control and guidance. So for spacecraft, basically that it is an electrical engineering class. It sort of teaches you how to build controllers with feedback mechanisms. And so you can use like op amps to build PID controllers, which is a proportional and integral derivative controller. And so I would also advise kids to get into that kind of stuff, because that's really cool. That that goes into robotics, that goes into pretty much everything in the future. So that's going to be a really, really fun class, and I'm excited for that. And then, of course, there'll be cooler classes in the future beyond that, but that's what I have for now. So,
well, Padraig, thank you so much for sharing everything and telling us, getting us caught up on what you've been up to and how ham radio ties into all that. And thanks for taking some time out of your few days off here between school and work to let everybody know about it.
Certainly. Thanks for having me on, Mr. Epp.
All right. Thank you. That's Pádraig Lysandrou, KC9UUS, the 2013 Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year, among other awards and recognitions. Thanks so much for being here. And that's a wrap for this week's Ham Talk Live. I'd like to thank my guest, Padraig, and all the callers and listeners out there in cyberspace. And I invite you all back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern when Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, will be here. He's the kit guy, and he'll be here to catch us up on what's going on in kit building. And for a list of all of our upcoming guests, visit hamtalklive.com. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.